Today we are doing a full review of Straight to Heaven by Kilian. So we'll get things started by letting you know the official note listing for this one. It has rum, patchouli, nutmeg and cedarwood, vanilla and dried fruits. So what do I get from this? I do get a boozy opening. There are a lot of fragrances that I smell that people talk about as being boozy, and I disagree heavily. Like, they don't smell boozy to me at all. Sometimes I don't even get why people think something smells boozy. I just don't see it. Other times I kind of get it, but I still disagree that it smells boozy. This one does smell boozy. So you do get a kind of a alcoholic rum vibe in the initial top notes. The immediate thing behind that is the patchouli note. This is a very heavily based patchouli fragrance, in my opinion. You're going to get a boozy patchouli, essentially, in the opening. Nutmeg is listed. You do get a little bit of a spice, but it's not overly spicy, but you get like this warm, slightly inviting, warmth coming through. So the spice is subtle, but it's there. I do think that you notice the cedarwood in this, and it pairs fairly evenly with the patchouli, at least in the opening of the fragrance. So you're going to get this woody, grainy smell with this kind of more earthy green patchouli, and again this boozy accord in the top note of this alcoholic rum note. After about 2 hours, I would say it transitions into being a really solid patchouli fragrance. You're going to lose the boozy initial opening. The cedarwood is going to kind of go into the background, and patchouli is going to come forward, and it's going to be patchouli dominant on my skin, at least. The cedarwood is definitely still there, but it's kind of hidden a little bit behind this patchouli that's in your face all of a sudden. At the 4 hour mark, it starts to become a little bit more musky, a little bit more, like I say, musky enveloped around that patchouli. Which kind of rounds it out and makes it a little bit more wearable, I would say. The dried fruit note, I'm not sure I get a whole lot of it, but there is a definite sweetness in this. But it doesn't come across as particularly fruity. But you do get a subtle kind of sweetness, but I just want to emphasize how strong the patchouli is in this. If you don't like patchouli, I don't think you'll get along with this fragrance. You really do need to enjoy patchouli for this one. In terms of performance for this, I thought the projection and sillage was quite good in the first hour or so, becoming a little bit closer to the skin by about 4 hours. Capping the longevity on my personal skin at around 6 hours longevity. Altogether, I quite like the initial opening. I think it's a solid, good quality smelling opening that's inviting, it's interesting. You're going to get that boozy accord mixed with cedar and patchouli. It just works very well. In terms of season for this, I would personally say it's a colder weather fragrance. Autumn, winter, I wouldn't wear it in the summer personally. It's not probably suitable in my opinion. I think it would be a little bit cloying in heat. So I would reserve it for colder weather. In terms of occasion, I can see it fitting more of an evening kind of occasion, going out in an evening. It just, because it's a little bit heavier, I think of a daytime fragrance as being a little bit lighter. This is kind of thick and heavy, and so in my mind it goes to the nighttime. Dressed up or casual, I think would work. It's not something that I think would be one to work, I guess, depending on what your work is. But if you were like in an office, for example, I don't think it would be particularly appropriate in an office environment. But in general, wear fragrances when you like. This is just a personal opinion of the vibes that it gives me. I mean, I could see it being worn with someone wearing a suit, for example, but I don't know what they would be doing while wearing a suit. Again, it's not something I can quite see at work while you're working, but maybe at a works event, then possibly this would work well. I can see it in certain situations dressed up. I can also see it dressed down casually. It's relatively versatile, but there are certain occasions I wouldn't wear it to. But you get the feeling for that when you try it yourself, I think. Personally, at the 4 hour mark, I do lose a little bit of interest with this, where it goes more heavily into patchouli with kind of, fewer facets, I would say. so it becomes you know, a little bit too focused on the patchouli for me, and it doesn't quite have that sweetness that something like Nascimato's Pardon does, for example, which has that, you know, sweet quality, which just makes the patchouli a little bit more interesting. This one retains more that kind of earthy, woody, green kind of profile without quite the same level of sweetness. I think this is one of the better patchouli dominant fragrances that I have smelled. I have smelled a small handful. This one is a good example. I think to be honest, I think the introduction is the best part of the fragrance. The dry down loses me a little bit, but the opening is great. I would definitely recommend at least getting a sample and trying it if you like patchouli fragrances. It would be one that I would happily recommend to people. Personally, I probably wouldn't wear it myself, just on a personal taste level. To recommend it to someone that is into patchouli, definitely I would say a thumbs up from me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you soon with another one. Take care.
Old man Harlem gives me Sunday headache, but that old man Harlem keeps me